Hello, Frugal Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, and this is yet another episode of my Road Rage series. While I discuss a particular topic or topics that are on my mind while driving, what I do is I put my phone on hands-free mode, put it down out of the way, and so what you hear is what the phone's picking up there. I want to drive safe. Just a lot of people think I'm driving crazy. Well, anyway, I've been mulling over this whole Marvel Fresh Start thing, and I know I've done a video about it before, but I want to talk about a couple other things about that. And my question is it really that fresh? I made an analogy earlier on in other videos, I think it was in live streams, that the Marvel Fresh doesn't really seem that fresh to me. What it seems more like is a deck of cards that's been shuffled because the same players are still all there. You know, we haven't seen anybody, except for a few maybe that left, like Bendis, but otherwise we've got the same deck of cards. It just shuffled the deck and the same jokers are still in there. So how fresh is it really? Well, you know, with that said, it could be. When you put different people on different titles, you get a new fresh take on it. But so far, from what we've seen, is it really that fresh, and is it really something that interesting? You know, let's think about that. First, let's take Amazing Spider-Man. We're going to have Nick Spencer writing Amazing Spider-Man. And I know instantly that throws up flags. It does for me as well. Because as you know, Captain Frugal is a huge Captain America fan. And with that said, you know, Nick Spencer did a crap job on Captain America. Just absolutely horrific with Nazi Cap. You know, and then we got Mark Waid, which was, I think, a step in a better direction, but he still had to throw out all his politics in his book. Even in his best issues, at the end, you still had, it was all connected to this evil group of people that seem like they're Trump supporters. You know, they're all wearing red too, by the way. Catch those little subtle things. Oh, there we go. You hear my GPS telling me, hey, don't miss your turn. Well, anyway, so we had that on Cap, but I digress. I'll talk about Cap a little bit more in a second. Talking about Amazing Spider-Man, we have Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer, as I said, was writing that Cap, which is bad. And now, for failing with an event, ultimately, that really did not sell well, he gets promoted to writing the premier title on Marvel. Yes, Nick Spencer is another guy that clearly knows how to fall upward. Nick Spencer, the guy that failed at a political career, which was somewhat like he was campaigning as a Republican. He failed at a business, which I believe was a bar, if I recall. Got into comic writing, went to a complete leftist ideologue. Weird. I think what he does is he just turns into a chameleon and transforms to whatever he needs to be at that time. Because, you know, to be in comics, you couldn't be a right-winger. So he had to make sure he changed it. And boy, did that guy Kool-Aid it out. Or he's a complete, you know, false kind of dude. Well, anyway, with that said, I wonder which version of Nick Spencer are we going to get on Amazing Spider-Man? Are we going to get the kind of guy that writes crap like Nazi Cap? Or are we going to get the kind of guy that writes something like The Superior Foes of Spider-Man? And if you don't know my thoughts on Superior Foes of Spider-Man, I did a review of the entire series. You can look at an issue-by-issue review on my channel. I recommend doing that. Not a lot of people did. You know, especially because when I was putting up most of those, I was putting them up over the time that Nick Spencer was on Captain America. What I was doing was releasing them here and there slowly throughout time. And let's just put it this way, since it had the name Nick Spencer on it, pretty much nobody wanted to touch it. But I suggest you do. It was actually a really good series. So it makes me wonder, which version of Nick Spencer are we going to get? And can Nick Spencer write Amazing Spider-Man? We'll see. You know, is it going to be a character that he can handle? Is he going to take him to the down and gritty street level? I'm thinking that's the route he's going to go, rather than the craptastic, I'm world-traveling Tony Stark Spider-Man that we've had penned under Dan Slott for the last year or so. As well as the rehashing of stories by Dan Slott, the plot's too big for the man to stick the landing Dan Slott. So I'm hoping we see a good fresh start, but I really don't have much faith. So what are your guys' thoughts first? That's the first question. What are your guys' thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man? Are you going to give it a shot? Do you have faith in Nick Spencer on it? I'm going to give the first few issues a chance. Probably the first story arc. We'll see how it goes from there. All right, so from there, the next transition I want to talk about is Captain America. Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to be writing it, which seems to me like a guy that really doesn't like America. Or he has major fundamental issues with America, which makes him a real question mark on why on earth is he writing Captain America? Yeah. As you can see, I have my feelings on that one. I have probably, if I have a scale of 1 through 10 on the faith I have of Ta-Nehisi Coates writing a good version of Captain America, I'm probably going to give it a -2. I don't trust this guy on Captain America. If you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Go look at his Twitter history and things that he says. He doesn't really inspire. I think for a writer of Captain America, unless he's can pull out being a darn good writer and write something that's completely different than himself, this is not going to come out good. And, you know, writers can do that. It is possible. I have very little faith in the direction of Captain America. Crap, I have, you know, a little more faith in Wade, and I was very, very skeptical about Wade, and it turns out I had every right to be skeptical about Wade because he did not fail to disappoint. That is so sad. Okay, and let's talk about another one of the fresh turds. Or did I say fresh turds? Well, that might have been a Freudian slip. Fresh turds. Iron Man is being written by none other than Dan Slott. Now think about this. Remember, this is the new, fresh Marvel. Well, Dan Slott just wrote Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man as Iron Man, pretty much. He was a rich man that owned a company with lots of technology at his disposal, working with wait a minute, he already wrote Iron Man. What the heck? So, once again, this is a fresh start. He's writing Iron Man again, pretty much. I mean, I have no faith, really, because you've got to remember, this is going to have the Dan Slott humor. Now, Dan Slott just recently said he's going to be using all the continuity to draw from. Well, remember, he said the same thing from Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and Peter Parker has been unrecognizable for the last decade. He's been nothing like the Peter Parker we knew. I don't have much faith in his version of Tony Stark Iron Man either. Yes, we're going to get Iron Man back. Well, I wonder if we're going to get the demon in the bottle kind of stuff coming back, which, you know, might be a good thing in a way to see, you know, Tony battling with those demons again. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, normally I'd say it, but under Dan Slott, I really doubt it. Dan Slott doesn't tend to have a good, serious writing tone to him much. If he buckles down, he has penned some good things. Let's be honest there. But his pile of crap is much higher than his pile of good work. So he hasn't really given me much consumer confidence. And let alone he's not going to be very good at promoting this book, which is going to be a big challenge for Dan Slott. Because Dan Slott liked to hide behind the guise of sales. This is the guy that took a flagship character and found a way to make him have 60,000 or less sales. Okay? A flagship character should be competing with other flagship characters in the comic book industry. He should be competing with Batman. I'm not saying he should be beating Batman. He should be at least competing, and he's not even close when he was doing Spider-Man. So now he's going to be put on Iron Man, which even with the movies and everything has not had that big of a draw into the comics. It hasn't translated well, partly because, well, let's be honest, Marvel dropped the ball here. All this Iron Man popularity and stuff, and do they give us an Iron Man that people know? No. They give us Ironheart, Riri Williams in the book for the last year or so, which is clearly not what the people wanted. Give her her own book. Give that a run. But see, Marvel doesn't have the guts because they need that lead-in, partly because they don't know how to promote. Maybe if they would have promoted a Riri book, give her her own book, and, well, let's be honest, the writing had to be a lot better, too. Maybe she would have had a chance. Who knows? But anyway, if you can't go and say, hey, look at this character, these kids doing things, and then go to a comic shop, have their parents take them, and actually see Tony Stark Iron Man, there's a fundamental flaw, and that's what we had here. So Dan Slott has a big job. He has to bridge that gap, bring back Tony. But there's the thing. You look at Dan Slott's track record. Dan Slott's track record on characters that don't carry a large selling portion already usually fail pretty badly. Because, let's be honest, his writing of those characters can't really carry an audience. It hasn't. I'm sorry. Some people go, well, I like this run. You're fine. That's fine that you like those runs. I'm not saying anything against that. You like what you like, and that's perfectly fine. But the history and the stats tell the truth. His books, in general, do not carry readers. They don't. Okay? So, my guess is it's going to start strong, like most number ones do, and wait till the first story arc. The first issue to the second issue always has a drop, so don't start yelling about sales. Expect a 35 to 55% drop. Usually 50 around is norm. Now, if it takes a 70% drop, then there's reason to go, wow, sales. But then look at the third issue, and then wait even a little farther. Wait till that first story arc is done, and then see how many people stick on after that first story arc. That's usually a good telling sign there on what the direction that comic's going to go. My guess is not going to go well, but that's my guess. And that's because, and now Dan Slott will no longer have the shield of Spider-Man, because I'm sorry to tell you that there's a large, well, I'm not sorry, this is probably a good thing. There's a large portion of Spider-Man readers that don't want a gap in their collection. They've been collecting for 30 years, 40 years. My wife and I were some of those. You know, and it hurts to say I'm going to stop reading this when you had the entire run, except for maybe a few issues up to that point. Yes, that is true. Up to that point, we had nearly the entire Spider-Man run. Now we have a pretty significant hole because of the Dan Slott era. I don't know. You know, I was able to read them because I have a friend that collects them too, so I just borrowed his. Because wasn't going to give Dan Slott the money. And with that said, you know, will I pick them up if I can get them for 10 cents each, maybe, just to fill in the collection? But otherwise, I'm not buying that. Sorry, not going to happen. It's not been good enough. So with that said, I don't think Dan Slott can carry Iron Man. I don't think this fresh start is that fresh. Yes, we're getting the Sentry back. Did anybody want the Sentry back? Let me know that in the comments. Are you looking forward to the Sentry coming back? I'm not. I'm not really. I mean, I'm not against it. I never cared for the Sentry that much in the first place. Maybe you do. If you love the Sentry, let me know in the comments. All right, guys. That's just my take. It's a shuffle of the cards. I don't see anything that fresh yet that makes me go, oh, wow, Marvel's going to change it. Hold on, one more thing, too. I'm not blaming C.B. Cebulski yet. You have to realize a lot of these things, these contracts and these moves are done ahead of time. So we're actually still feeling the Axel Alonso era, okay? I think that after this current regime is in, I mean this current run of writers and these teams, that's probably the contracts being ended, okay? So we might see this Ta-Nehisi Coates on Captain America for 6 to 12 issues. After that, hopefully, you know, they've met contract obligations, and if they're bad, they won't be renewed. We'll see. As I said, this is a slow thing of attrition. CB can't just go and blow everything out. Comics take a long time. The stories had to be made, had to be approved, the artwork has to be done. That takes months. So on top of all that, the teams and everything were all planned ahead of time. So we're actually still in an Axel era. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, can there be new changes coming up now from CB? Absolutely. There could be some new things there. I'm not saying he's completely without blame or without praise. So I'm just saying let's be a little bit more patient. Let's see what happens. But overall, Marvel Fresh doesn't seem that fresh yet. You know, I'm thinking we're picking the fruit too early, okay, and the vegetables. We have to give them, you know, another 6 months or so before we hopefully start getting the fresh stuff. And even then, we still have to wait to see if it truly is fresh. All right, well, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours, and if you don't mind, in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and help us on our Patreon. You can go to the info bar down below and go ahead and click on that Patreon link, and you can help Little Frugal and I for as little as $1 a month. You'll see that that money's going towards equipment. I've got some plans coming up for the future for some videos him and I do. We're looking forward to having some fun. Some new equipment would help with that. Also, it's going to help us to buy newer comic books to review, things like that, and help promote the channel with new works. Well, also too, I know I'm really late on the Avengers retrospective and the next issue of the flashback from the stash. I am working on it. Things have just been very hectic lately. All right, guys, until next time, keep it frugal.